Heaven on BBC Radio Oxford's Weekend Warm Up with me, Lisa Simmons, in with you until 10 o'clock this evening. Now, do you fancy laughing every single day for a whole month? I know I do. Well, you can, starting from tomorrow, because July sees the return of the Oxford Comedy Festival, a month-long opportunity to catch some of the most hotly anticipated comedy shows of the year. Now, they're being previewed in Oxford before they make a splash up at the Edinburgh Fringe. Oxford-based comedian Alex Burgar is performing at the festival and has come along tonight to tell us all about it and her hour-long show, which takes a wry look at identity. Now, before we chat with Alex, let's hear a bit of her comedy.
So I'll give you an idea of how this is going to go. Someone came up to me after a gig not long ago and said, "Really enjoyed your John Lennon bit. Hadn't thought about the Beatles that way before," which is lovely, except I don't have a John Lennon bit. What I have is a Lenin bit, which he presumably had an unconventional experience of. I think I could probably have a bigger audience if I did John Lennon jokes, though. I mean, imagine all the people. And if you hated that, you're going to have to make the best of the next however long I've got, because when life gives you Lennons...
Oh, Alex, great to meet you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much for having me. It's lovely to be here.
I love your Lennon jokes.
Thank
Brilliant.
You. Thank you.
And I'm so intrigued by the premise of your show as well. Before we come on to talk about that, you began your comedy career during the first 2020 lockdown. What attracted you to stand up?
Well, I always tell people the origin story of how I started doing comedy. How I started being interested in comedy was I saw the first season of The Bake Off and I saw Mel and Sue eating cake and doing puns, and I thought, that looks like a great job. I would love to do that. So it took me a while to get around to it, but that's how I
So it was cake
interested.
and Mel and Sue. I'm so with
in.
you on that, actually.
Absolutely.
That's a dream job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So would it be fair to say they're your comedy icons, or do you have others?
I actually have a whole different list of, I guess, inspirations. A lot of them are performing at the festivals, so it's very exciting to be like alongside them on the programme. So yeah, it's been very exciting.
Brilliant stuff. So you're known for your witty biographical observation and love of puns. The name of your show, for a start, tell us about it.
So the show's called Bürgermeister, which is a pun in itself on the German word Bürgermeister, which is the mayor of a German town. The show is all about reclaiming my German citizenship, kind of understanding how that fitted into my life and how I felt about myself. And if you come and see the show, you'll understand the full reason for the name.
So you have, you've always kind of felt German, is that right? You have one parent who's German and one parent who's English, is that right?
So I have one parent who's German but grew up in the UK and one parent who's British but grew up in Germany.
Wow, that's confusing, isn't it?
And then they found each other. It's perfect.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you feel more German than British or British than German?
Hard to say. I think it depends on the context. Like when I'm in Germany, I feel super British. When I'm in the UK, I feel super German. So I'm never the most German or the most British person in any room.
Okay. Well, I can kind of meet you on that because my husband is half German and half British.
Cool.
He has a German mum and a British dad. And he has that whole dual nationality thing going on. What have you got that's kind of German stereotypically in your personality, do you think?
I think there are a lot of stereotypes in my personality. I've recently learnt to drive. For example, I drove up here. You'll have some good CCTV footage of me trying to park later. And I found myself getting really frustrated with like how little people seem to follow the rules. And I was kind of saying to, whoever was in the car with me at the time, "Oh, but the rules are there to keep all of us safe. If everyone follows the rules, we'll be fine." I was told I was being very German. And I take my waterproofs everywhere.
Absolutely,
Important.
Yes. And are you a stickler? You're obviously a stickler for the rules. Anything else stereotypically German that you think you have as a personality trait? I'm thinking, I see comedy. Germans aren't known for being funny, are they, stereotypically?
Yeah, it's a sad stereotype, really. I think, I go to Germany quite often. I go back and visit people, and most of the people who I've met there have been so funny, so hilarious, so clever. And it's such a sad stereotype. I'm not really sure where it's come from.
I know. I know quite a few German people, and some of them are really funny. Have got
Yeah, for
great
sure.
senses of humour. Henning Wein, for example, who's a
Yeah.
comedian, who's German. Very funny guy.
Absolutely.
Do you
Yeah.
like him? Have you
Yeah,
seen
I
him?
love what he does.
Oh, he's great, isn't he? Now, we're talking about the festival. It starts tomorrow.
Yeah,
Is that
it does.
right?
It does indeed.
And it runs for the whole of July. Tell us a little bit more about it.
So it's very exciting. It's sort of an up-and-coming regional fringe festival. There's a lot of them around the country. This is Oxford's one. The shows are all previews for people's Edinburgh shows or their shows going forward, their tour shows, things like that. So yeah, there's a huge kind of lineup of amazing comedians that if you're not going to Edinburgh, or even if you are going to Edinburgh, you should absolutely come and see.
Chuck us a few names, Alex.
So we've got Jessica Foster-Q, Celia A.B., Jen Ives, all sorts of people that you've Ivo Graham, Erica Ayler, among many, many others of, varying levels of fame and notoriety, but also kind of local acts as well.
And what are the venues across Oxford that they're going to be having shows in?
There are a few venues. One is Trinity College, one is the White House, one is a Tap Social Brewery. So some really cool things.
I believe there's 54 performances going on, isn't there?
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
I got a maths GCSE, but I couldn't tell you that for sure.
Well, it is a lot. There's probably, hopefully, something for everyone there, every taste.
Absolutely, yeah. Even if you think you're not into comedy, then definitely pick one or two, pick a few more and come and see what you like.
Yeah, definitely. How important is Oxford on the comedy scene, do you think?
I think Oxford's got a lovely comedy scene. It's like very supportive community. It's lovely. I think it also kind of as a comedian pushes people to be faster writers, like more efficient writers, because if you're in London, for example, you sort of do the same set at every night around London. But if you're in Oxford, everyone's seen, 5 minutes of your stuff in 5 minutes. So you've got to keep writing and keep coming up with new stuff all the time. So yeah,
It's
I think
quite
good for that.
challenging, though. I mean, if it's good if your life's busy and there's loads of stuff going on, but if you have a fallow period and you've just been like having PJ days, what do you do?
I've got a joke about pyjamas in the show, so you can find something everywhere.
Can you give us a little,
Ooh.
Go on.
Oh, I'm so tempted to say just come to the show.
Oh, Alex, can you not?
How am I going to get an audience like this?
You're teasing us. Now, are you going to Edinburgh?
So I'm not performing at Edinburgh this year, actually, for a number of different reasons, partly because it's very expensive. So the regional fringes I've been going around instead, which has been really, really fun. Hopefully I'll go to Edinburgh next year. And I've started writing another show in the meantime. So yeah, trying to make best use of the time. I guess efficiency is maybe also a German stereotypical
That sounds quite
trait.
German, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Have you got an Excel spreadsheet for that?
Not yet, but it's a
You need
work
to
in
get one.
progress. Yeah.
Okay, so I believe, am I right, that your show has won a nomination for an award?
My show was indeed nominated for an award at the Brighton Fringe Festival, which was so lovely. It was a really lovely event and such a nice surprise to be nominated. It was nominated for the Lamb Comedy Productions Queer Comedy Award for this year, which is very exciting. And because I'm quite new to stand-up, relatively speaking, and this is my first hour-long show, it's just very exciting to have that kind of early recognition in a really sort of confidence-boosting way. It was lovely.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic, considering you're such a new artist.
Thank
To
you.
get that recognition so early in your career is fantastic. Well done.
Thank you so much.
And Brighton's a great place to go, isn't it? I love Brighton.
Brighton's lovely.
Yeah.
I'd spend as much time there as possible. I think it's a great place.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It has one thing we don't. Sea.
True.
No
very
sea in
true.
Oxfordshire.
You know what, Lisa? I went on my first trip to Brighton as like my first trip out of Oxford after all the lockdowns happened, and I went down to the sea and I just sort of started laughing, and this guy on the beach woke up and said, "What are you laughing at?" And I said, "The sea," as if it was the most obvious thing ever. And he just went, "Oh yeah, fair enough," and then went back to sleep.
Yeah, I can understand that. But listen, you also host regular nights, don't you? In Oxford's Jolly Farmers. Is it the Funny Peculiar Nights?
Yes.
Tell us a
yeah.
little bit about that.
So we do that one every other month. That's been really fun. We've been doing that since not March this year, the year before. Love the Jolly Farmers. It's such a wonderful pub, such a welcoming environment. Also just recently started hosting nights with Undercover Comedy, which is a new collective that a few of us have set up. That's at Gulp Fiction, and our next one is next Thursday.
Amazing. And can anyone go along?
Yeah, you need to get a ticket for that one, but we've got all of those available online and you can get them on the door as well.
I'd love to know, Alex, what was it like the very first time you stood up in front of an audience and did a gig?
It was the best thing ever. It was so exciting.
Wasn't it scary?
Well, everyone says that. You know, people often say when I tell them that I do stand up, oh, you must be so brave. And you think, well, other people work with spreadsheets. I think that's brave. So
fair enough. Now, if people want to have a look at the schedule, see who's on where and how they can buy tickets, etc., how can they do that?
Yes, there's a website. You go to oxfordcomedyfestival.co.uk and the whole schedule is up there. And you can get tickets through there as well.
Perfect. And when is your show?
My show is next Friday, the 7th of July at Trinity College at 7:30 p.m.
Are you nervous? Excited?
Very excited. Excited to be playing to a home crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we look forward to hearing all about it. Stay in touch with us. Let us know how you get on.
Thank you so much.
And we wish you all the very best for it. That was comedian Alex Burgar there speaking about the Oxford Comedy Festival at which she's performing. And the festival takes place across the city during the whole of July. And it starts tomorrow, so you can go along this weekend. What more can we want? Coming up after the news, we've got more live music for you, so stay tuned.